So whose signature shoe is better, Jayson Tatum's or Kevin Durant? So today we're going to be doing a versus video between the Jordan Tatum1 and the Nike KD15. As there is a little bit of a price difference. The KD15s are going for 150 or 160 bucks depending on the colorway. The Tatum1 is retailing for 120 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And yeah, as far as the traction goes, I'd say the KD15 is a little bit better, right? So if you're playing on a clean court, they're both amazing. The Tatum1, I mean, there is no outsole, or there's no rubber, right? Or there's not a lot of rubber, I mean. So we have two rubber pods here in the forefoot, but that's it. The majority of the outsole is just foam, right? So that they did that trying to, you know, make the shoe super duper light, which of course the Tatum1 is. But as far as durability goes, yeah, durability is not great here in the Tatum1s. Here in the heel, I don't think it's gonna be very good, and also in the tip of the toe, it is ripping off a little bit. So yeah, even though the KD15 durability is still not great, you know what I mean, like the rubber is super soft, but this has to be more durable than the Tatum1, right? So there's that. And so if you're playing on a clean court, both top tier, both really nice. The KD15 squeaks a little bit more. The Tatum1 not as loud, but still squeaks a little bit, right? But if you're playing on dust, the KD15 is definitely better. Like, it doesn't pick up that much dust. It picks up very minimal dust and bites through dust pretty damn well. And if it does pick up dust, it's just a super easy and slight wipe, right? So really good dust performance here in the KD15s. However, here in the Tatum1s does pick up a good amount of dust, and it picks it up pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So that's kind of annoying. It's not terrible where, like, if you let too much dust build up, like, slides out and it's dangerous. However, it's just not that good of a bite. But the good thing is, though, here in the Tatum1s, it's a very easy and slight wipe to wipe off the dust. So that's the only good thing. So yeah, as far as the, you know, performance of the outsole goes, I would say the KD15 does take the cake. However, the Tatum1 is still nice. You know what I mean? Still a solid option, just the KD15 is better. All right, moving on to the heel to toe transition. They're both nice, right? So here in the Tatum1, we have a very soft heel, nice rounded shape. And also here in the forefoot, we have a nice rounded shape and a lot of forefoot and a lot of midfoot flex, right? So torsional support is definitely not good. Look at this, right? So if you need torsional support, then the Tatum1's not great. But for me, I was okay, you know what I mean? And then here in the KD15s, we have a little bit more of a flatter shape, but it's still got a nice rounded shape here in the forefoot. And also it's a little bit flatter here in the heel, but it's still not terrible. And then as far as the flex goes, you have a good amount of forefoot flex, but it does feel a little bit stiffer, right? So if you want something really smooth and super flexible, then go with the Tatum1s. If you want something a little bit stiffer and also has a little bit more torsional support, then go with the KD15. Also, we have this midfoot shank plate on the bottom of the outsole, so we have good torsional support in the KD15s, right? All right, moving on to the cushioning setup. So they're both really nice, and I would say it just depends on what you like, right? What your preference is. So as far as step and comfort goes, they're both really nice. I mean, obviously the KD15 has full length zoom stromal, which is zoomed pretty much right underneath your foot. So there's a lot of compression, a lot of bounce, and also it's articulated, right? The zoom unit is articulated, so it's super unstable, which I like. But for me, at times, however, it can be a little like too much for me. You know what I mean? So the KD15, like the full length zoom stromal unit, is super nice though. But for me, I would say I like the Tatum1 for a little bit better, just because it's more subtle, you know what I mean? And I like that for an everyday cushioning setup for me personally. So here in the heel, we also still have really good like step and comfort. You know, there is a cloth. It's not a super stiff stromal board, so you can feel your foot digging into the foam, and it just feels like it's just regular Phylon, right? But it's still like on the softer side of things. And also we still have good compression here in the heel from the actual midsole, which feels nice. And then we have a nice zoom unit, you know what I mean? It's not full length, right? You don't feel it really at all here in the toes. It's more just like where the balls of your feet are, right? But it still feels nice. It feels bouncy. I would say it feels all like a little bit more subtle than obviously the full length zoom stromal unit, but it's still like has a nice quick bounce to it here in the forefoot, which does feel nice. So yeah, because of that, I would say I like the Tatum 1 a little bit better, but you know, obviously you can't go wrong with the KDs, you know what I mean? So impact protection, they're both great. I would say the KD15 is probably a little bit better, but court feel is a little bit better in the Tatum 1s. The KD15 just feels like it still has pretty good court feel, but not as good as the Tatum 1s. For the most part, yeah, I mean, they're both really, really nice, but it all depends obviously on what you want. So yeah, if you want the full length crazy setup, and then go with the KDs. If you want something a little bit more responsive and also a little bit more subtle, but still want a really nice, like, bouncy cushioning setup with good court feel, then the Tatum 1 is the better option, right? All right, moving on to the materials. So yeah, the KD15 is terrible for material quality for 150, 160 bucks, just because it's just like this open mesh material, right? It's just, mesh is pretty cheap. You can't really make it feel super premium, right? And Tatum 1, I would actually say feels a little bit better for quality, even though it is cheaper. They're both super soft, and they're both very, very thin, and they both conform to your foot extremely, extremely well. However, the KD15 actually feels a little bit more supportive for some reason. Maybe it's just because, like, I actually don't know. Maybe it's because it has something to do with the cages, like the plastic lateral cages on the lateral and medial side. But for support, like, the material just like freaking, it moves very easily. So maybe these plastic cages help the KD15, just because this material also isn't super duper supportive, just feels a little bit more supportive than the Tatum 1s, right? But anyways, they both feel nice on foot, you know, thin and all that, conform to your foot. As far as the tongue goes, I would say the KDs have a little bit more padding, which makes it feel a little cozier, like on top of your foot. And also in the ankle area, they both have around the same amount of padding. So like on foot, they feel pretty similar, like as far as the upper goes. So there is the material there. Moving on to the fit. I went true to size for both of these shoes, and they both fit me extremely well. They're both very, very snug fits, which I do like, right? So my toes go pretty damn close to the edge of the shoe. Also, they are very, very snug here in the toe box, but I would say the KDs are a little bit more snug. The Tatum 1s, like, they scrunch up a little bit more, as you guys can see. The KDs, they're more snug, right? Also here, for the width, I would say they're both slightly narrow. However, the KDs are a little bit narrower as you get closer to the edge of the toe. Like, the Tatum's still pretty narrow, but not as narrow at the tip, right? But yeah, I like both of the fits in both of these shoes. They're both very snug fits. So if you want a snug fit, or you like have a skinnier foot, then true to size, you should be fine. If you have a wide foot or you want a roomier fit, probably go up a half size or maybe even a full size, just because they're both very, very snug fits, right? All right, moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, your foot is not coming out of the footbed really at all in either of these shoes. You know, you guys can see the lateral counters, right? So we can see the frame and also the foam coming up, acting as a sidewall. There is an internal TPU heel counter, but like I said before, the material here in the Tatum 1 is not super supportive, so it's just like very, very soft. You know what I mean? But here in the KDs, it's just as soft, and I guess there are lateral counters, right? Here in the forefoot, here in the midfoot, we have this plastic cage with the Nike swoosh on it, and also there seems to be an internal TPU heel counter. So like I said, your foot is not coming out of the footbed. However, the KDs felt a little bit more supported, just because we have this, I'm guessing it's because of this plastic cage, right? Here in the Tatum 1s, like I said, super soft, so my foot was moving with the material just a tiny bit. So if you want a little bit more support, right, or the more supportive shoe, then the KDs are a little bit better. As far as the lateral stability goes, I mean, as far as the width goes, they're like around the same width, you know, they're both wide, so lateral stability was good for me as well. It's just the heel slippage in the KD15. Right, the KD15 did have heel slippage. Not terrible for me. It wasn't a huge like deal breaker. It's just my foot was moving up and down a little bit when I was playing in it. I know some people that was pretty damn bad, so be careful on that. But the Tatums, I didn't have any issues with that. So there is the support and lockdown. As far as the weight goes, however, I mean, obviously the KDs are going to be heavier, right? We have all this plastic. We have the like outsole. We have full length zoom. So it's not super heavy though. It's just average weight, 12.7 ounces, right? The Tatum 1s are significantly lighter though, almost pretty much 2 ounces lighter. It's 10.86 ounces. So yeah, the Tatums feel way lighter, way more minimal, and also like smoother, just because it's super flexible. The KDs feel more supportive, a little bit more sturdy, right? So I'm not saying one's better than the other. It all depends on what you want and what you prefer. Honestly, I like both. You know what I mean? It's not like the KDs are super stiff and boot-like, you know what I mean? And also in the Tatum 1, it's not like I felt like very unsupported or anything like that. So both of them, they both feel nice, but I guess I do like the lighter feeling in the Tatum 1, you know? Alright, as far as the ventilation, they're both good. You know, super thin materials, airflow is good through both of these shoes. So ventilation, I would pretty much tie it up. They're both very, very good. And aesthetically, I would say the Tatum one's a little bit better. You know, I don't know. I feel like some people will disagree with me, but for the KDs, I don't like this, you know, and yeah, and the colorways that have come out, not a huge fan of the colorways either. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up. So for the most part, if you're trying to save money, obviously go with the Tatums. You know, 120 bucks, $30 cheaper. It's still a good performer for the price. So yeah, I would say go with the Tatums if you're trying to save money. If you don't care about money and you want the overall better performer, I would say, honestly, I'd say the KD15 is a little bit better besides the heel slippage, and that was the only gripe that I had. But like I said, it wasn't a deal breaker, right? The traction is better. The cushion, I would say, is a little bit better if you want the full-length zoom strobe unit, but the Tatum one's still nice, and I would prefer the Tatum ones, but still the KD's still nice, right? It has better support, material is just as thin, and it's not like super heavy or anything. It's still like average weight, and you still feel very responsive when you're playing in the KD. So I would say the KD's probably overall I would recommend to you guys, right? But like I said, the Tatum one's still nice, and if you're trying to save money, Tatum 1 is still a great option. And also I feel like the KD suit more people, right? If you're a bigger dude and you need more support, the KD's better option. If you're a guard, you need something responsive but also bouncy, KD15 is still a great option. Tatum 1, I would say, is just more for guards. You know what I mean? If you don't really care about the support as much, right, and you want a good cushioning setup that's low to the ground with pretty damn good traction and also a lightweight shoe, then I would recommend the Tatum 1s too. Like smaller guys, you know, guards. But if you're a bigger dude, probably not the best option for the Tatum ones, right? But anyways, that about concludes this versus video. Hope this video helped you guys out. And again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave them feeling in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.